Yo, what is going on, everyone? I am finally back with another video. I feel like I say that every video because I do. As promised in the last video, I will be talking about the kayak, about how I set it up, and honestly, I will give you my final thoughts and opinions about it. I'm gonna get right into it. So this is how I rig up my Hobie. I'm gonna start right with the core of this kayak, and that is the motor. This is the 403, the ultralight 403 AC by Torqeedo. They make the 403, the 403 AC, and the 1103. The 1103 is probably the better one out of the three. The price tag is also the most expensive. The 403 and the 403 AC, as far as like horsepower and torque goes, isn't any different. The only thing that makes it different is the size of the battery, which I will get to later on. Essentially, the size of the battery is what determines what the 403 is and what the 403 AC is. But as far as power and torque, they're the exact same motor. So I have a rock guard on here. It's made by Innovative Sportsman. If you're planning on getting a Torqeedo, or you do not have one, or you do have this motor but not this rock guard, I highly advise you get this rock guard. I think it's like 200. When I got it, it was $250 from them. But if you're someone that especially loves fishing and current, especially the Susquehanna, you could be going upstream or downstream. You're looking about how pretty everything is, and then boom, all of a sudden you hit a rock. This rock guard prevents any damage towards the motor or the prop, and actually you can tell exactly how much it's been abused, and just the paint is wearing off of it, but it's made out of very strong metal. It hasn't been damaged, it's just been taking the paint off of it, and there's not a single scratch on the prop or the actual housing of the motor at all. That rock guard is a savior. Another example of how strong this rock guard is I will be moving downstream at full throttle. The speedometer on the throttle is saying like 7 miles per hour. I'm just taking off and I just nail a rock. Whenever I pulled off to a bank, not even a single scratch on it. It's amazing. I like it. If you're planning on getting one of these motors, or you have one, I highly advise you get that rock guard. Next thing about this, you'll see that there's two strings. One string right here. This is to pull the motor up. It was in the up position when I started, but I let it down to talk about the motor. So here's the pull string. So obviously when I pull it, motor's gonna go up. There's a cleat here, so you can let it stay there, and it'll stay exactly like that. And then the other one is right here. This is your reverse lock, and that is going on the right hand side of my kayak. The next thing of this kayak that is just amazing, the motor in itself is awesome, but this is what made this entire kayak the way it is for me. Awesome. So there is actually, let me put this down so you actually see what I'm gonna be talking about. There is fixed steering on this, so you can tell that there's a hole right here, and then there's a hole right there. I don't know if you can see it right where my thumb is. You put like a cotter pin or a thin screw down in there, and it holds the motor straight. And then what you use is your rudder or your paddles to steer. I didn't really want to do that. So the same people that made the rock guard, Innovative Sportsman, made a steering kit for, I think it was like $100. So I'm like, and it was designed for this kayak and for this motor. I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm gonna be getting. So here they are. This is part of the steering kit. So they hook onto the steering triangle, and then I actually drilled holes in the back of my kayak. I understand that voids the warranty, but I guess I'm stupid for doing that. But also I wanted to make this kayak, you know, the way I wanted it to be. So I ran that Spectra cord through the kayak. It comes out here. You can actually see this black cord right here. That's just the nylon cord, and you put the Spectra cord through it. Comes out here, through here. That nylon cord stops here. Spectra cord comes out, and I tie it onto the actual foot pedal. So there's the foot pedal. This is the foot pedal mount, and I have that mounted, that entire assembly mounted to the H rail and the T track of the kayak. That pretty much takes care of the motor. Is it pricey? Yes. But is it worth the money? Absolutely. So moving on from the motor, I'm just going to work from the bottom, from the back of the boat to the front. Next up, you have the crate. This is the YakAttack Blackpak Pro. Hands down the best fishing crate in my opinion. My boss was actually the one that found this online, and he wanted it, so I did him a favor and I bought it for myself. There's 3 sizes for this thing. There's the 16x16, the 13x16, and the 13x13. I got the biggest size. I got the 16x16 just because I have a lot of gear. So like when I'm out there fishing, my tackle box will be in here. You know, if it's calling for rain, you know, like a lighter rain later on in the day, while I'm out there fishing, I'll put a raincoat in here. And also at the end of the day, when I'm done packing up, I put a lot of gear in here. I put my battery in there. I put this bag in here. I put my throttle in there. I put my net. I put my my tackle boxes in there. My life jacket, which sounds like a lot of stuff I'm putting in this crate, but I'm able to fit it in there without, you know, like shoving it down in there and like potentially breaking something. I will show you that later on in the video. I'll show you how I do that, but that's also why I went with the bigger one, also just so it can free up some space in my truck whenever I have my gear in there. Okay, so even though I just told you I would show you how I load everything up later, I actually just got done filming the video, so, and I never showed how to do this, so I'm doing it now. But anyhow, so what I do whenever I'm done loading stuff up is I take my battery, I put it down in the corner like that, then I take my throttle, and that goes right beside my battery like that. And then what I do next is I take my bag, which has everything in it that I use. I put that in there. My tackle boxes go in there like this. And then my life jacket goes in there like this. And then my net is actually a foldable net. Here's the net. Just put it in there like this. Get that in there. And then nothing is crammed or shoved in there. Oh. Sorry. Nothing is crammed or shoved in there. That's good to go. Next up, I have my wheelie cart here. The old wheelie cart that I had, it decided to take a crap on me. This kayak was way too heavy for that wheelie cart, so I just said screw it, I'm buying the Hobie, the heavy duty Hobie wheelie cart, and man, that was also a game changer. Nothing really needs to be said about that. Now you have the battery. Okay, so earlier on I was talking about the motor, and I was saying how the 403 and the 403 AC motor are essentially the same as far as power goes. But the difference with those two motors is the battery. The 403 has a 300, I'm gonna get this number wrong, but it's like 325 watt hour. Whereas the 403 AC has the 915 watt hour battery. The difference in those two batteries is, you know, obviously the 915 watt hour battery, I'm able to run off of that for a longer duration than the 320 some watt hour battery. And with me being fishing mostly on the river, you know, going upstream, I'm going to be on full throttle the majority of the time. Well, when I'm on full throttle, it's going to drain the battery down quicker. So if I have a bigger size battery, I can run it on full throttle for a longer time, which I believe you can run this battery for 12 hours straight on full throttle. I might be giving that a little bit more runtime than it actually has. There's really nothing else to be said about the battery than other than it's just a battery, it does its thing. So, and then you have the throttle here. So the throttle, whenever I first bought this motor, I actually had the throttle mounted on this H rail, and it was the throttle was like out here. That just became a pain in the butt, only because if I did have to use my paddle, you know, my strides and everything, I kept hitting the throttle. And also sometimes, you know, I'm fighting a fish, it decides to come around on this side of the boat and it gets tangled around the throttle. I had to think of something quickly. So I think it was actually my boss, Jeff, he had the idea to put it down like next to my seat. So yes, that again required some drilling. As you can see, it's the YakAttack. I forget what the Mighty Mount, I think is what it's called. I just drilled 4 holes down in there. I put some wood screws down in there, and I put a little bit of silicone rubber in there just to act more as a gasket. And then of course there's my throttle. The throttle still comes off, and then, but that's where I put the throttle, and that was a brilliant idea because it's no longer in the way. I no longer have anything sticking out from the side of my kayak, so my paddle doesn't hit anything, you know, fish can't get wrapped around anything. And also it's just nice that when I'm sitting down, I can literally just reach right here and move the throttle rather than reaching outwards and moving it. Same thing goes with my cup holder. Before I had the actual Hobie cup that came with the kayak. Again, same thing. Even though it was back, it was in the way, it just needed to go. So I bought a YakAttack cup holder, and same thing that I did with the throttle. There's a Mighty Mount. I drilled 4 holes, put wood screws in there, silicone rubber, and my cup is right by my side. I don't have to reach behind me anymore to grab it. Here's my Hobie bag. And there I keep items like smaller stuff. Like I'll keep my boat registration in there. I'll keep my salt plastics in there. And then at the end, my fishing line in there. And then in here, like in the very, very first video I made about this kayak, this is where I keep my personal stuff, like my phone, wallet, keys, my scissors, pliers. That's where I keep that stuff. And then over here is my paddle holder. Before, my paddle would just be sitting along here. And obviously, again, like everything else, it was in the way. It was just a dumb idea because if I were to somehow flip the kayak, even though it should float, the paddle's, you know, not going to be, will be in the water, and it's just one more thing I would have to pick up. So I am trying to remember what this rod holder is called. It's made by YakAttack, but it's just nice because it straps down. If I need to grab it, I'm just sitting there and I just pull it up, ready to use it, and when I'm done, it just goes back. that's really all there is to this kayak. After using it over a year now and abusing it, because I am not gentle with this thing. I mean, look at it, it's dirty. I use it. You know, I get rough with the kayak, and she holds up. It is a very, very reliable, very sturdy kayak. You know, I mean, there's scratches on the hulls, but there's, you know, it hasn't leaked yet. I'm actually, this winter, I'm probably going to put keel guard, like a DIY keel guard thing for the bottom of the hull, just to protect it a little bit more. But overall, this kayak is awesome. If you're thinking about buying a pro angler, I'd recommend it. But that's about it. You got to see my setup, how I rigged this kayak, and like I said, it's used it for over a year. There's nothing really to say other than just the fact that it is a very reliable kayak. Hopefully, if you have a kayak like this, or if you're planning on buying one, hopefully this video helped you come up with some ideas. If you like the content I put out, please remember to subscribe, be a supporter of this channel. It helps me out. And if you like the video, give it a like. And as always, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.